Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting video. Today is day 5 of 75 days coding challenge, and in this video we are going to do polyfill of opposition.
आपके अंदर मेरे लिए नफरत है, आपके अंदर मेरे लिए गुस्सा है, आपके लिए मैं पप्पू हूं.
Opposition of what? Opposition of push and unshift method. Yeah, you heard it right. पॉप एंड शिफ्ट मेथड का पॉलीफिल करने वाले हैं. पुश एलिमेंट्स डालता है, पॉप निकालता है. द डिफरेंस इज पुश कैन ऐड मल्टीपल आइटम्स एट वंस, लेकिन पॉप बेचारा एक टाइम पर एक ही आइटम निकाल सकता है, और आज हम उसका पॉलीफिल देखने वाले हैं. सो लेट्स गो. बट बिफोर स्टार्टिंग यू नो व्हाट टू डू. सब्सक्राइब मैन.
क्या बात है सर, क्या बात है सर, क्या बात, ये बात है.
So let's start with the polyfill of pop method. So what is pop method? So pop method is a method which will eliminate the last element from the array or from any object, and it will return that element, right? And it will also update the length. So basically if I have one array which is 1 2 3, and if I call pop method on it, okay, it will eliminate the last element. But how will it know that it is the last element? So to get to know the last element, it will search for the length property, as array have length property, and if we are passing any object, on that object also it will search for the length property. If there is any length property which has value greater than 0, let's say if it has 0, then there is no element in that array, so it will return undefined. It won't do anything, it will return undefined, because what to remove on an empty array, right? But if there is any value, let's say in this case it is 3, length is 3, so it will do length minus 1, which is 2, and it will delete the element, this element on this index, or if there is any object on that key, if it will check if there is any key with this value. If it exists, then it will delete it, but before deleting it, we have to store it, because we need to return it, right? So pop method will return the deleted element. So store and delete, then return it. Before returning deleted element, we need to update the length also, right? So we'll take the case of any object. Let's say I have one object which is empty, and I'm calling pop method on it. It will check if there is any length property. There is none, and we have discussed it will sanitize it. So the sanitization will be done with the unsigned right shift operator, which will make its length to 0, because it is undefined, so it will convert it into 0. For 0 it won't do anything, it will return undefined, right? But it will add one property on this object with length as 0, because in the case of 0 length also it will update the length to 0, because maybe the object doesn't have length before, before sanitizing it. After sanitization we got the length as 0, so it will update that length to 0. Okay, but let's say if I have any object which has name John, okay, and it also has the property length, which has 2, and it has 0 as high and 1 as by, right? This is the object. So what it will do, the pop method, it will search for length property. As I said, it will find out that it is 2, then it will do the length minus 1, 2 minus 1, it will get 1, and then it will search for the any property with the key as 1. It will find this key, right? So it will store it, the value of this, it will store this by, and then it will delete this key, okay, and it will return the value which is by here. Updated object will have name as John, length as 1 because we have deleted one element. If it does not find any element with the value 1, it will still decrease the length. Okay, keep this in mind. And then we will have 0 with high because 1 has been removed. So this is the final object we'll get. So let's see this in action. Let me show you. Constant array 1 2 3. Okay, and let me call pop method on it. So pop method will only delete one element at once. Okay, and if I console log this returned element, it will return the element, right? Deleted element. So if you see, we are getting 3. And for the object, we can take that case that we have name as John, we have length as 2, we have 0 at high, and we have 1 at by, right? And if I call pop on it using my prototype, okay, I don't want to pass anything. I can console log the obj, and also I will console log the deleted element. Right, you got the deleted element as by, and we have the updated object which does not have the by value, and the length is decreased by 1. So this is good. Let me try calling it for any string. Okay, you will see we are getting the value, we are getting the error, cannot delete property for of object string. So strings are immutable, we cannot call these mutating methods. It will mutate the value of this, that's why we won't be able to call it on string. So this is the handling we need to do in our polyfill. So let me go to polyfill. Let's create the polyfill. Sorry, not function prototype, it exists on the array prototype. So we'll check if there is any method with my push. If there is none, then only we'll create it. Okay, so as we discussed, we first need to handle the case of null. We have discussed this, there are many common things in this pop, push, and shift and unshift method. So these things are common. We can I have already told this in my last 2 videos, so if you haven't watched it, go and see it. Any error we can throw. And for string also we need to handle it. So we can check if type of this is equal to string. Okay, or maybe I'm not passing the primitive string type, I'm passing the object, wrapper class of string. So then the type of this will be an object, not string. So that case also I need to handle here. Prototype dot toString dot call, I will call this, and if you call toString method on any string object, then we will receive the value as this. As you can also see in the console, for the error we received that we cannot call delete property of this. This is object string, right? So this is the handling we have done. We can throw error here also, cannot call for string. Okay, now for primitive data types also we need to do the handling. We can convert them into their respective wrapper classes. If I pass the number, then it will get converted to the number object. For string, for boolean, so for primitive types we need to wrap them around their wrapper classes. This we have already done. So let me check the length. Obj.length will check for length property. If exist, we will also sanitize it using unsigned right shift operator. This we have already discussed in the last videos, so if you haven't watched it, go and see. Simple as that. Okay, for the length, we'll check if length is 0. We'll set the updated length to 0 because there are many cases where the length does not exist and this sanitization will convert it to 0. So we'll need to update it to 0 and we'll return the undefined. But if there is any length exist, we need to store the element. We will store, which will be my obj len -1, right? And I will delete the obj length -1. Okay, I will update the length to updated length, which will be length -1, right? And I will return the element. First I will store the element before deleting it, because I will need to return it at the later point of time. I will delete it, then I will update the length of the object. It will be -1 and then I will return the length. So this should work fine for our use case. Let me test it for the cases we discussed above. So instead of using pop, I will use my pop. Sorry, this we need to use my pop. We are doing the polyfill of my pop, not push, right? So my pop is here, my pop also here. Let me comment it out. Let me call it for object 1 first, then we'll check for string. So for the object and for the array, it is working fine. The same output we were getting earlier. For string, we should get an error. We are getting the error. So this is the perfect polyfill we have done for the pop method. For the shift method, because we have already done the same polyfill like push, unshift and pop, you can try the shift method. I will give you the overview what you need to do. The first 3 things will be the same because we have done the same thing in all these methods. We will need to check for null. We will need to convert the primitive types to the object, and for string check also we'll need to do the handling. So these things are common, and also this thing, sanitization of length property with using unsigned right shift operator. So this is also the same. So these 4 things are same in these polyfills. So you can keep this in mind. And for the shift method also, which will remove the front element, first element it will remove. So let me show you. For the length, if length is 0, this is the same handling we will need to do in the shift polyfill also. So shift polyfill, you will need to try by yourself because we have already done the same things many times. So null and primitive handling, right? String handling, string case handle, right? Check for length property and do the sanitization, length sanitization. Okay, 4th is if length is 0, that handling we need to do, will return the undefined. उसके बाद we have 1 2 3 array, and if we call shift method on it, it will remove the first element. So we will check the first element. So if length is 0, we will not to do anything, and then we'll search for 0 index. Then before we can store it before deleting it, and then we can move all these elements to the front like we did in the unshift. We moved them to the back. The same thing we can do to this method to move it to the front. Okay, but instead of going from back, we will need to go from front for this case, because otherwise it will get it will get lost, the value lost if we start it from the back. So from front we will keep moving, right, and we'll delete the last element because otherwise it will be the sparse array. The value will be repeated So we'll need to delete the last element, and this will be first value will be overwritten. So this is what you need to do for shift polyfill. You can try at your end, and I think this is it for this video. See you in the next.